Hi, everyone. Dr. Downing here. Today we're going to cover the timeline for journalism class. I'm going to share my screen and get started. Okay, here it is available as a PDF. It is also embedded into the course syllabus. This PDF is available either on D2L or on the Google Drive in one of the folders there. So it should be, ubiquitous, pretty easy to find. We will follow this closely, and I would encourage you actually to print it and hang it on your refrigerator, or keep it with you. Maybe put in the due dates for various assignments in your calendar so that you know when they're coming. So you see me doing something right now. I'm zooming in and out, and it is a keyboard trick that I teach in all my classes. So I'm holding down the control button and I'm using the wheel on the mouse to zoom in and out. One of the things that I'll do right away with student work when you submit it as a PDF is I make sure that there's no additional pages. So I'll zoom way out just to make sure there's no orphans or widows, meaning extra lines or words on the following page, or whether there is it maybe a blank page. Happens all the time. You make adjustments and then a blank page emerges. So let's get into the specifics of this for journalism class. So you see Dr. Downing, Journalism 1 Timeline, Spring 2026. And there are columns here, columns and rows, and the columns are date, class number, activity, and the points available. So again, the first day of class, there's 95 points available here. I thought I had added more to this though. So let me go to this for a second. That's tech writing. And sometimes it's useful for you all to take a look with me. Yeah, so in my Journalism 1 timeline here, it says welcome syllabus timeline. But when I go back here to the PDF, I'm not seeing that here. Not exactly sure why. Sometimes these tables, the cells move around a little bit, the fields move around. So let me do this. Let me go to my journalism timeline, which I see to be correct here. And I'm going to go ahead and save it as a PDF. And do this and replace the one that exists. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with that, but there we go. Maybe I didn't create the PDF. I've gone through this process so many times. So there we go. There's the new document. Yeah, and this does look to be different. So let me zoom in on this. Okay, class number 1. You'll see that there's always going to be roll call here. So the way this line reads is welcome, but I can't put in punctuation because if I copy and paste this into D2L for the grading segments, it rejects all punctuation. So I have to make these real clean, no commas, no periods. So welcome, roll call 20. The reason I'm reading it to you this way is because you'll also see roll call here and roll call here and roll call here. So every class you come to is worth 20 points. Come to class, do the work, right? If you miss class, you'll start to lose points. If you have an accommodation or you have a documentation, then I'm not going to penalize you. But if it's just casual missing class, then yes, you'll pay for that. Come to class, do the work. What else are we going to do? I want to see evidence of a calendar, and then we're going to do videos. So we'll do the welcome video, the syllabus video, and this is the timeline video. So showing up class number 1 is worth 95 points, and that's how it's going to go throughout the semester. I teach my classes very much like a video game where you log into the game and then you begin exploring. So you show up and you do a thing and you get the points. So show up, you get 20 points. Show me, produce something else, calendar, you get points. Go through an experience, you get points, that kind of thing. So the entire point count in the class is down here at the bottom. It's 2,645 points. And again, that's all intentional. Students have told me quite specifically that if I don't award points, if I don't offer points for a particular assignment, they're not going to do it. By and large, fair enough. So there's going to be points attached to everything. Not trying to be punitive. It works. Students, again, come to class and do the work. So that's class number 1, and then on to class number 2. Now, here we go. Email signature, I'll take you through that. Resume draft, I'll take you through that. LinkedIn account and connections with classmates, and we'll discuss the First Amendment. It looks like I thought spell check caught that. Curious how it all works, huh? Discuss. Yeah, I did a spell check of it, and it caught it at one point in some other version. one of the things you're watching me do then is I'm using a trick that professional writers use as long as I've been a professional writer and as long as PDFs have been available. What they'll do is they'll take their work and they convert it into a PDF, and then it mimics being published. So then you can, I mean, there it is, right? And it allows you then to catch errors and to see, you know, from one to the other whether things are correct. And you're watching me catch these things in real time. Another trick that professional writers use all the time is they read their words out loud, because your eye is more than happy to skip over and correct any flaws, but your ear will not. Your ear will be bothered by unnecessary repetition or other, you know, some jumps in logic or whatever. Okay. I'm a writing professor. What are we going to do? One of the things I'll say then is if you've had me in class before, you'll know that the first couple of class sessions are very similar, although I've done different things this semester with the videos. But email signature, you're probably going to have that. Resume draft, you're going to have that. LinkedIn, you're going to have that. I just try to sweep through all of my, you know, my 100 students every semester. I try to make sure that they all have these things, and then we move forward. So you see here, then we'll do a comment. We will discuss and comment on the First Amendment. I will take you into the journalism handbook that'll be posted on D2L. We'll look at the First Amendment, and then you'll give me a paragraph on that. So that is 20 points for coming to class, and then 50 for writing the First Amendment comment, and that's 70. Then we're going to launch into current events. So we will start that in class. And then it says create a draft of pro journalist assignment. So that is a draft of that. I will take you through all of this. None of this writing at this point is long. Comments are fairly short. The pro journalist assignment is like a page and a half. And this is just the draft of it. So I will help you build the assignments, and then I'll give you feedback, and then we'll complete them, and then you'll submit them, and then on we go. We will do, again, the pro journalist assignment. You will do an obit assignment. You will write your own obituary in this class, and calm down, everyone. I know that can be upsetting, but that's not the nature of it. I don't want doom and gloom. Here's the assignment. I'll talk more about this when I talk about, you know, the major writings in this class. The major writings. The obit is short and sweet. It's a long paragraph essentially. But what I want you to do here is I want you to learn the form of obituary. How to do it, what is included. You're learning the formula, the recipe for writing it. So in case you ever need to write one, and I've had feedback from students who have come to me more than once and said their aunt died and they needed the obituary written, and they said, I have an idea of how to do this. So they looked at an obituary model and they made the one for their aunt look like the model, just like you learn in class here. So it is useful in that way. Now, the other part of it here, so you're learning AP style, you're learning the structure, you're learning Associated Press style as well, which we will get into, relating to months and times and dates and abbreviations and those kinds of things. Street abbreviations, boulevard abbreviation. So you'll learn that style and master them. Now, the gold nugget in all of this is the middle portion of it. And that's where you tell me and tell us about the things you hope to achieve in your life. Are you going to publish 7 novels? Are you going to be president of, I don't know, Canada, right? I mean, what is going to happen? Are you going to cure cancer? Are you going to work at a nonprofit? Are you going to travel and write? Are you going to publish 10 books of poetry? That's what I want in that space. And if you need help with that, let me know. But straight up, we all want to be delighted, and we want to gain insight into you as a classmate by knowing that you are going to travel the world and you're going to climb the Matterhorn and all that kind of, that's a mountain. Yes, Mount Fuji in Japan. You're going to do those kinds of things. So that's the obit, and it gives you a sense. Now, again, I'm not going to read this whole thing to you. I'm just giving you some idea of what to expect here. We are going to dive headlong into current events. Now, one of the things I've experimented with in the past in my journalism class that I've sort of moved away from for this semester is we've messed around with quizzes. We've messed around with some worksheets. I don't know if we have time for a worksheet, like a vocabulary worksheet, then maybe we'll do something like that. But I think in this day and age, I mean, there's a lot going on in the world, and we're all inundated by it on a regular basis. So I'm hoping to be able to establish in this class a conversational mode that we can get into so that we can talk about the fact that the United States has invaded Venezuela. How do you feel about that? There's ICE, and ICE is in Minneapolis, and the president of the United States wants to, looks like, destroy NATO, and take over Greenland. And what about the economy? And what about AI? And so, and we will, right? If we can, I'm pausing because we're not going to dive right into super hot buttons like how do you feel about abortion? Let's not do that one right away. If we can agree on as a class to reasonably discuss these issues without exploding, then we can look at heavier and heavier stuff. But we're going to start with the, sort of the distant stuff, like, right? It's like, so Venezuela, right? What do you think about that? Okay. So it says comment 4 due. These are basically paragraphs. We're going to discuss things in class. I am going to take you into your subscriptions to the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, and the Atlantic. And I want you to establish access or shortcuts on your home screen or whatever it takes so that on your phone you can say Wall Street Journal, what is the headline for today? I want to be able to do that in this class without everybody going, oh, I never followed through on that. So we will do that on our phones in class so that we're all on the same page. Okay. And you see other things that are due. Tons of details here. This is the product of, right, many years of me working and trying to provide structure. And what this is, quite precisely, I do say this to all my classes, at the end of the semester, I seek feedback from students. How did I do? How did you do? What could be done better? And quite often, there will emerge in a particular class 1 or 2 pieces of very good feedback that I take then and incorporate into future classes. So this is a custom class that has been written specifically for you as students at Kutztown University. I don't know that I've talked about this yet, but I am a product of the state system of higher education, having gone to Clarion for 2 bachelor's degrees and a master's degree, and then IUP, which is Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Used to be about 14,000 students over in the western part of the state. We had a great PhD program. That's where I went. So I have a PhD in literature, master's degree in English, bachelor's degree in English, and also a bachelor's degree in communication. That's how I got my start. So all of that stuff. And my point is that this, what you see in front of you, is custom made for you. I'm not saying buy a $125 book and then we're just going to follow the authors of the book. There's nothing wrong with that. But this is a skills course. It's not a content course. If we were in a regular classroom without all these computers, we would probably be working out of a book, mine or somebody else's, and we'd be slogging through the book. And I shouldn't say slogging. We'd be moving through the book, and there would be quizzes and discussion of what was in the book and those kinds of things. But this is a skills class, meaning that it's a writing class. So we are going to be doing comments and obituaries. And now it also says here, hard news draft. Now, I've got all this set up, but here's where I'm at with the class. If we can reach the point where we have an interest in publishing, then you may be able to replace assignments that are here. So I have hard news draft. So, right, I just might as well, this is the time for me to dive into this. So here you go. 10 years ago, 8 years ago, probably 6 years ago, probably pre-COVID, and even after that to a degree, even a couple of years ago, this class is designed to have you write a hard news story and a review, and then have both of those published in the Keystone newspaper. Last semester, nobody wanted to publish anything. I think there were 2. So there's 25 students, and they all wrote 2 assignments. That's 50 assignments. I think 2 got published. And I talked to them, and they just kind of shrugged, and they were like, we're not interested. This class is streamlined so that you can get what they call clippings. You need to get publications, especially if you're a professional writing major or minor or communication. major or minor, or public relations, major or minor, or, other major. It looks good to put on your resume that you got an article or two published in the Keystone, a news story, and a review, that you know how to put together materials and follow through. That is a publishable quality. So that's what this class is all about. But so it was weird last semester. Maybe you are all different, and maybe you're eager to publish. I will tell you the story of one of the members of our the English advisory panel, which I'm the chair of, and they're all Kutztown graduates, and one was an English graduate. Her name is Molly, and after graduating, she didn't have a job, so she went to the Reading Eagle and said, "I'm an English major. I should be able to apply for a writing job." And they said, "Where are your clippings?" And she said, "I have none." And they said, "Oh, you're an English major and you went to Kutztown and you never wrote for the newspaper?" She said, "Oops, nope." So they gave her a job. They started her out writing obituaries, which is where young reporters often begin. So she did a good job. They gave her a chance. She did a good job, but she was embarrassed that she didn't have any clippings. And when I asked the editorial panel for um, feedback to give to students, that's the one that she uh, has shared. Um, right? He said, "Tell them that story." So I do. My point then in this is, if you want to write an opinion piece rather than a hard news story because you want to get it published, I'm all about it. I will help you do that. If you want to write a couple of reviews because you'd rather write reviews than hard news, but you're going to get them published, I will say you can replace this hard news story with a review. We will set up a topics roster. I will set up a topics roster for you on the Google Drive, and it'll have all student names in one column, and then it will have the various writings, and then you will give me a topic and we will tailor that, and then you will follow through on the expectations. So that's how that works. But here's the review if you want to do that. If you want to do two news stories rather than writing a second review, you can do that, but you got to get it published, right? Right? And you will, don't shrug and say, "Oh, I won't be able to." You will. First of all, I'm the advisor to the newspaper, and the editors are always looking for copy, student copy, so they're eager for it. And then if you have doubts, run it by me. I will help you clean up your work. If you want feedback from the editor, say, "Hey, editor, what do you think of this?" And she'll help you clean up your work, and then we'll put it through copy editing, and then we'll publish it. It's quite a simple process. It just involves you submitting, and ideally some images along with it. Okay. There's a media map discussion that we'll do, some small groups. There is mentoring as well that I want to keep fanning the flames of. I don't have it built in yet because there's no way for me to attach points to it, but there are alumni that we can connect to, not only through me, which I've done a lot of this in my career because I stay in touch with, you know, not hundreds, but I don't know, a dozen or two students, right, that I can reach out to and that are willing. They are so eager to help current students. But the other side of the coin is the Kutztown University Foundation has reached out to alumni, and they've cultivated a program, a mentoring program. So if any of you, first of all, are interested in individual mentors, I can connect you with an individual mentor. Especially in the world of writing, because that's, Downing teaches professional writing, and I can connect you to people who are in media. Okay. That the other thing I'm going to try to do is bring them into the class. So I'm trying to have IT make the computer in Rohrbox 17 in our classroom, make that Zoom accessible so that we can bring people into the classroom there, and they can talk to us about what to expect in the world. And typically what I would have you do is be ready to ask questions, right? Journalism class, we're going to have somebody who we can interview. So all of these things. I do have then two last things I want to cover, and then, I'm starting to go long here. So I'm trying to highlight that. There we go. The final exam, and then I'm going to jump back to the final videos. Prep for final exam worth 50 points. So if you show up and we talk about that. So what I have down here Final exam will be based on aspects of the class. Perhaps I'll have students created in AI for extra credit. I don't know. I'm toying with ideas there. I like to be creative with the final exam, and not just have you memorize stuff and then come in and do the test kind of thing. But we may be able to take some things from the class, is what I'm thinking creatively about. And the First Amendment, I don't know, things that we cover and discuss going forward. I don't know what that might look like. If all else fails, I do have an exam that I could administer, and I will coach you on that. Basically, we'll cover it in class, and then you'll come in and you'll pick the answers. We'll do it the traditional way. I also, at that time, during that final session, I will be asking for feedback on the class, on the class, about the class. And again, students have given me feedback that I have incorporated consistently. You'll see the last 4 class sessions are video attendance. So it's showing up and watching the videos. You will do a video in this class and you will talk about what you learned. So you'll say, oh, at the beginning, I decided to do 2 hard news stories because I wanted to get them published. And we talked about Downing's book. And my book is the journalism handbook for the class, which you don't need to buy. It's available. It's part of open access. I wrote the book for the open access program, which is grant funded. I'll tell you all about that separately. So you'll talk about the inverted pyramid, or the 5 W's and the H, or the First Amendment, or various other things related to journalism class. Media Map, for example, which shows a bunch of publications and where they lean politically. We've done the Pro Journalist. We'll do that thing where you talk about your professional journalist. And again, whether or not you've published in the Keystone, whether or not you've published elsewhere, for example. Some students publish like in Berks County Living or on her campus, those kinds of things. That's what's going to go into your video at the end. 5 to 6 minutes, you introduce yourself, you tell us what you learned and what you've accomplished related to journalism, and that's it. Okay, I think that's the timeline. That's going long enough. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.